Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha wa kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Sadaqallahu al-azim. My dear respected brothers and sisters who are listening, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our future, our youth, our future, the youngsters that are here, they are going to replace us in the future. We were young at one time, now we are in position to run things on the earth. When we were young in the 90s, we were young in the 80s, we were young in the 70s. Our mindsets are built from the youth we had at that time in the 70s. Whereas our father's youth was in the 50s, in the 40s, in the 30s. Some of our fathers, they're probably in the 60s, but nonetheless, I'm talking about myself and the generation that's with me, our youth was in a different time. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu, he said a statement, a wonderful statement. He said, bring your children up for a time that is not your time. Bring your children up for a time that is not your time. If you base the thoughts and ideas we have of what our children should know, what they should be, based on my time, in the 70s and the 80s, in the 90s, when I was young, then there's going to be trouble, because that's not what our youth are. If we even base it on what our youth are doing today in the 20s, then we're making a mistake also. Because our youth, their future lies in the 40s, in the 50s. We've got to be ahead of where we are right now. And that takes a lot of thought. So the big mistake, first mistake, is that you have children and you base everything on your youth. No, it's not our youth, it's their youth. These youngsters, they've never had a day in their lives without the internet. Imagine that. They've never had a day in their lives without the internet. A lot of us that are in the 40s and so on, we've seen the time without the internet. We can compare it. We know what it is to be in a life without the internet. And therefore, when we look at the age of the internet, we kind of think, why can't these kids understand? Why can't these kids appreciate what they have? Why can't these kids stay away from the fitan and stay away from the tribulations of the internet? But listen, my friend, this is a different age. My dad would complain because they never even saw the age of the television. So for them, the fitna was the television. Today, nobody talks about the fitna of the television. We talk about the fitna of the smartphone. It's changed. Things have shifted. Television is nothing. Television is just a little thing on the wall. Who even watches that? Sometimes people switch it on and they watch it fine. But the biggest fitna now has become what? The smartphone, which is a television in every single pocket. And not only that, the television of yesterday, you had certain choices. You could only watch what they're showing you. The television of the smartphone is where you're in charge. You can roam the internet where you like and watch what you like. Now, this is today. Tomorrow is another world. Our kids might be in, I don't know, not only our kids, our adults might be affected by having certain machines that they put themselves into. It could be a helmet. It could be something that you put yourself into, you relax, you lie down, and then you go into a world, a 3D world, a virtual world. They're already making this. It's already in the process, the making it. So you put maybe something on your eyes or over your head. You probably have sensors on your fingertips, and then you lie down, and then what you're doing is now you're in another world. Different world, a virtual world. And with your fingertips you're moving, but you're actually running. You're seeing objects, you're seeing things in a real world that you feel is real to you. Just like we see our kids engaged in front of the PlayStation 5, and now they've got a screen, and in front of the screen they're playing with the controllers, and they're talking to another person in another city, in another country, through through the internet, and they're connected to other people around the world. They might have a game like Fortnite. There are 100 people anywhere in the world that they all connect at the same time, and the feeling that they're jumping down, they're coming down, they're collecting items, they're building structures, they're shooting someone, and they're really into this, right? But still, it's a screen in front of them. Tomorrow's world is that you're in this thing and you're doing the same thing, but you're in that world. So now your eyes are shut, your ears are shut because you've got a device that you're listening to, and your fingers are moving, and you're in another world. You're cut off from your surroundings. You're cut off from your parents, from your family, from your home, from everything around you. That's the world that's coming. Now the big question is this. We've built these masjids. My Sheikh said something really, really powerful. He came to the UK from Bangladesh, Sheikh Rasheedur Rahman Farooq. May Allah bless him, say Ameen. He made a whole thing. He went all around the UK, and he said one thing that will never leave me. He said one thing that will never leave me. He said, they have given you the permission to build masjids, to build madrasas. They've given you the masjids. They've given you the madrasas. But just like hawks and eagles that come down to snatch and seize their prey from the ground, they've seized the minds of your children. They've stolen the minds of your children. This is the war that we're in. Which is, you can build these masjids, you can build these schools, you can build these madrasas. But what is the future if these kids can't even be brought to the masjid, and they don't want to come to the masjids because they're in another world? And let me make it very clear to you. Right now, today, it's becoming so addictive to be in front of these screens and to play your PlayStation games, Xbox games, or right now on your smartphone or on tablet or something that they're hooked onto, some app, some game, something that they're hooked onto. It's become so addictive that they're finding it boring outside of those things. So when you want to get your children to do maths, to do English, to do some homework, it's boring. You know why it's boring? Because nothing moves. You guys get me? You guys get me? When it's PlayStation, you're moving. Man, you see the screen moving. Yeah, bro, what you do? Yeah, duck down, bro, it's coming. Sniper. It's gonna hit you. Bro, totally duck down. Like there's so much excitement going on. There's a screen moving, there's colors, there's pictures, there's imagery, there's a field, there's building structure. You got a gun in your hand, you're feeling powerful. You can feel the adrenaline inside you, and you got your teammate with you, and you're under this structure, and you're guarding this. Bro, duck, not now. Get up, let's run. You got so much excitement inside you. And when you run, everything moves along with you. So you got the fields are moving along. You got something. Hey, jump on that, man. Let's get that parachute. Let's move. You got so much going on. The greenness, the blueness of the blueness of the sky. You move around 360 degrees. As you move around with your joystick, you can see all of this. You're in a zone. Now you switch that off, and then you give an English book. My man, that book not moving. I'm saying that book is boring. Like, even the letters are black. The page is white. And they want me to read that thing. So now I have to move my eyes across the page of the book understand the words. So if I don't understand one, I gotta go and physically get a dictionary, open the dictionary, find that word, look up that word, understand that word, come back to the book and understand what the passage is saying. Man, that's a lot of work to do. I'm getting bored. These kids are getting bored after 5 to 10 seconds. You know why? Because what they did with all these movies and all this screen time is they're always changing the background of the screen. The lens, the camera, the view, the colors, the sound, the imagery, everything. Boom, boom, boom. There's so much. Look, think about it. There's sound, there's sight, there's thought, there's the person involved in it. So much excitement, and you take them out of that, and then now you're telling them to now read a piece of a passage, understand it, get a pen, get some paper, sit down and write the answer to this question. My man, this guy wants to take a break. He wants to take a break. He can't take that much. Now, that is the world of our homework, of our school. You come to the masjid, right? You look at the prayer mat, or this, this musalla space you got. Allahu Akbar. You look down. There's nothing moving, bro. Nothing. I'm getting bored. The walls, look at our walls of our masjid. MashaAllah, this is how a masjid should be, right? Plain walls. Alhamdulillah, I like your musalla plain. Just make it plain. I don't like those musallas where you have all these patterns and you're standing there, you're looking at a pattern, you're standing there, suddenly you see a monkey. You're like, Ya Allah, where did he come from? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You know those musallas made in China. Made in China. I don't know where they get these ideas from. Suddenly you see that, you see a little monster. You move a little bit to the right. Astaghfirullah, Tawbah, astaghfirullah. Then you see another one. So anyway, the thing is with these kids, they are finding these walls that are plain walls. Sit down. Okay, I got to do tasbih. I got to sit down. I got to read Quran. I got to read Quran. So they open the Quran. Now look, I want to tell you something. We've got to move ahead to get these kids involved. Now, the big question is, how do you get these kids involved? See, what has happened so far is all the screen time, the PlayStation time, the Xbox time, what it's done is it's opened a part of our mind, of our nafs, our ego, our desires and things just to relax and to be entertained and so on. It's opened that part. But we have something inside us which is tremendous. That is called the ruh. We have the qalb, we have the ruh. These are things that once they're open, they go into another world too. Just like you said, there's a world of, the games I just said to you. The people who understand, the people whose ruh has been engaged with the afterworld, the people whose qalb and whose heart is attached to Allah, they're in another world. But for that to happen, you have to start opening it and having some kind of effort into it. For example, let me give an example. If you take a kid right now and you want them to play on a professional level of Fortnite, or you professional level of FIFA, they can't do it. They have to spend hours and hours and hours just mastering those moves. Okay? So even FIFA, okay? The fact that they're playing FIFA and they're in front of the screen and they're with one another, just to shoot that ball, pass to the players, get it, do those kicks, know which one to press what time. There's a X, there's a Y, right? There's a C, there's a B. You tell me, yeah, I'm just going da. I just kick the ball and I make a mess of it and then they're laughing at me. I just forget that I can't play this. But these kids, they know when to press the C, when to press the X, and it's milliseconds they're able to press it. And then joysticks as well. And then they get that move and the kick. Yo, bro, scored, man. I scored, man. How do they do it? Hours and hours and hours of practice, hundreds of hours of practice. Then they get to the thousands of hours of practice and they become pros. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Why are you talking? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Especially you youngsters, you know what I'm talking about. You spend hours and hours, thousands of hours of practice. then what happens is you become a pro. Now you're really enjoying it. You're not just taking a joystick and just playing and just shooting. No. You're pro. You challenge people. Same thing happens in the religion of Islam. When you read the Quran first, what happens? All you're doing, you're trying to recognize the letters. Like it's a mission. You're trying to recognize the letters. Then you're trying to recognize the harakah. You're trying to get it all right. You got to get the length right. You got to get the pronunciation right. And then you're moving along. But you're an amateur. Just like you took the joystick, you're trying to play FIFA, you're making a mess out of it. You don't know how to pass the ball. You don't know how to make team coordination on the field. You're making a mess out of it. The same thing happens, my friend. But what we need to teach these kids is, look, you carry on at that. Now, it doesn't stop there. No, it doesn't stop there. We want our kids, our children, to engage in the Quran, to become professional in reading the Quran, proficient in reading the Quran. And then the tajweed gets better and better and better, and then you get your tune. Once you get your tune, the art of reciting the Quran becomes a wonderful, wonderful time that you spend. Not only that, the best part of it comes, and most of us don't get the best part of it. Most of us as an ummah have failed the best part of the Quran, which is you start understanding the meaning of the Quran. Then, bro, you're in another world. You got your tajweed right, you got your recitation right, you got your own tune as well, you got the meaning happening in the background. Just like the guy in Fortnite, the guy in Minecraft, and the guy in FIFA, they're enjoying it. You sit with the Quran, you're in another world. How? You sit there, you start reading. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. And when Ayub, he called out to his Lord and he said, Lord, some affliction has befallen me, while you are the most merciful of those who have mercy. And here I am, I'm in a situation where I have got this illness. I'm in a position where I am weak. I'm in a position, I'm very unhealthy, while you have so much mercy that everyone who's ever given mercy, you have given that mercy to them. وَأَيُّوبَ إِذْ نَادَى رَبَّهُ أَنِّي مَسَّنِيَ الضُّرُّ وَأَنْتَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ. Then I as Allah, I answered his call. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ. And I as Allah, I then took away his problem. I peeled it off him. فَكَشَفْنَا لَهُ, almost like taking something off something. فَكَشَفْنَا مَا بِهِ مِنْ ضُرٍّ. All the affliction he had, I moved it from him. وَآتَيْنَاهُ أَهْلَهُ وَمِثْلَهُمْ مَعَهُمْ رَحْمَةً مِّنْ عِنْدِنَا وَذِكْرَى لِلْعَابِدِينَ. And he lost his family, I gave him his family back. I gave him more than his family back. I gave him double that. And this is a reminder for those who worship me, who stand in front of me. وَذِكْرَى لِلْعَابِدِينَ. You worship me, you make me your master, you better listen to this, because this is a reminder for you what I can do. Allah says straight after that, another couple of ayats, he says, وَذَنُّونِ إِذْ ذَهَبَ مُغَاضِبًا. And when the Dhunnun, Yunus alayhi salam, he left his city, he thought that his people have angered him, and therefore the punishment of God is coming to them. وَظَنَّ أَن لَّن نَّقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ. And he thought that I wouldn't restrict him, but he never waited for my permission. He just left the city. He should have waited for me as Allah to tell him to leave the city. But he thought I wouldn't cause any restriction to him. I wouldn't put him into any trouble. But no. فَنَادَى فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ أَن لَّا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ. And suddenly he found himself in the darkness. Darkness of what? He found himself in the belly of the whale. Now he is in the darkness of the belly of the whale. within the darkness of the sea at night, within the darkness of the storm that is above the sea. فَنَادَى فِي الظُّلُمَاتِ, and from within those darknesses, he starts to cry out to his Lord, لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ سُبْحَانَكَ. Oh Allah, only you are the only one that is truly a God. You have all power, nobody has power. You have all qudra, power, no one has it. Only you have it. You are the one who's in charge, no one is in charge. You are the true deity, no one has anything except from you. La ilaha illa anta subhanak. You are perfect, subhanak. You are so perfect. Inni kuntu minal zalimin. And I am the one who has wronged himself. I am the one who has done something wrong. So I'm now asking for your pardon. فَاسْتَجَبْنَا لَهُ وَنَجَّيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْغَمِّ. And therefore, I as Allah, I answered his call. I answered his dua. I gave him what he wanted. And what did I do? I now rescued him from the anxiety he had, from the low feelings he had, from the depressive feelings he had. Gham. He was within that depressive feeling, in that anxiety. What have I done wrong? Where am I stuck? In the belly of a whale? I don't know whether I'm going to be swallowed or finished completely. Allah said, I rescued him from that. And then the beautiful part. وَكَذَلِكَ نُنْجِي الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And all those who believe in me, I will rescue you too from these words if you say the words. Now, subhanallah, my friend, you now traveling through the Quran. You are going through the Quran, mesmerized. You got your tajweed right, you got your recitation right, you got your tune right, you know the meaning of the Quran. You're now traveling through the fields of the Quran. You're traveling from one story to another story, one thing to another thing. This is something that captures your mind, your ruh, your qalb. It opens it. And when that's opened, you're in another world. The people who do salah, and they do it properly, Allah has mentioned them in the Quran. See, one of the wrong things we do first is we tell our children, hey, salli, go on, pray. Hey. First is that we're scaring them. If you don't pray, you're going to go to hellfire. My God, is that the way to introduce a child to prayer? It's like saying, hey man, you're going to get barbecued, you know what I'm saying? You're going to be barbecued in hellfire. Smoked in smithereens. He doesn't want to hear that. Of course, it is true. If you don't pray, you can end up in hellfire. In Surah Muddathir, it says that. مَا سَلَكَكُمْ فِي سَقَرٍ قَالُوا لَمْ نَكُ مِنَ الْمُصَلِّينَ. Yes, but that's not the way to introduce a child to salah. The way to introduce a child to salah is قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. My son, my daughter, if you pray, you know what happens? You become successful. And let me tell you about this success. What is that success? You will reap the dunya, the akhirah. You will be successful here and the next world. Allah has said, if you stand in prayer and الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ, you give your inside to Allah. You give your mind up for Allah. You stop your dunya for Allah. You think about nothing except for Allah in your salah. What did Allah say after a few verses in Surah Mu'minun? He said, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسِ. Allah has said, you know the way when I die as your dad, you will inherit my monies and my property. When you die, you will inherit Jannah. You become a lawful and a person who's got the certificate that Jannah is yours. Not only Jannah, Allah will give you. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْوَارِثُونَ الَّذِينَ يَرِثُونَ الْفِرْدَوْسِ. You're going to have the best portion of Jannah. You know what you're going to have, my son, my daughter? You're going to be in the best place of Jannah. You're going to be in the Beverly Hills. You know the Beverly Hills of this world is California, Beverly Hills. Oh my God, the place all the celebrities are. Yeah, you're going to be in that place of Jannah where all the Anbiya are. Your neighbors are going to be Isa alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam. Your neighbors are going to be Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ismail alayhi salam. You're going to be the place where Bukhari says, Minha tatafajjaru anharul Jannah. The arsh of the Rahman, the roof over Jannatul Firdaus, is the throne of Allah. And from there, the 4 rivers of Jannah are flowing straight down. Allah has said in the Holy Quran, Anharun min ma'in ghayri asin. You're going to have such water that's going to be always fresh. وَأَنْهَارٌ مِّن لَبَنٍ لَمْ يَتَغَيَّرْ طَعْمُهُ. And you're going to have rivers of milk coming down, never going off. That milk will never go off. وَأَنْهَارٌ مِّنْ خَمْرٍ لَذَّةٍ لِلشَّارِبِينَ. Rivers of wine coming down, and you're going to drink that and find it superb, the best drink ever. وَأَنْهَارٌ مِّنْ عَسَلٍ مُصَفَّى. You're going to have another river coming down of wine, crystal clear for you to drink from. All these come from the Arsh of the Rahman, straight to your plot first, and then they go to the rest of Jannah. You're in that part of Jannah. My son, my daughter, you will inherit Firdaus. Not only that, Allah says after that, أولئك هم الوارثون الذين يرثون الفردوس هم فيها خالدون. You'll be there forever and forever and forever and forever, never ever coming out of Jannah. That's the way to introduce a child to Salah, to Allah. And if you do that Salah, my friend, you know what? You're in another zone. Your salah will become slow. You do the salah of khushu', you don't need PS5, you don't need movies, you don't need screen time. You don't need that. You want to put that away. That's a distraction. That's small, man. What do you want to do? You want to be in salah. You want to be in front of Allah. وَلِمَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ جَنَّتَانِ. And for the one who fears standing in front of me, I will not only give him 1 Jannah, I will give him 2 Jannahs. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. So which one of your Lord's blessings do you deny right now? Which one? ذَوَاتَا أَفْنَانِ. There's going to be so many branches in Jannah. Allah says, مُدَهَامَّتَانِ. So green, both of them. Allah describes that in the Quran, and the way He's described it, with cushions that you, مُتَّكِئِينَ عَلَى فُرُشٍ. You are reclining on cushions. You've got your beautiful people in front of you. You got your beautiful things in Jannah, never to get out of there. Allah Azza wa Jal says that now you're in Salah. You fear standing in front of Allah. What do you want to do? You want to read Surah Fatiha, and now you want to read longer surahs in front of Allah. You don't want to be one of those, you know, Allahu Akbar. Which surah? I know. Inna a'tainaka. The shortest one. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar fasalli li rabbika wanhar. Allahu Akbar. Done. What's wrong with you, bro? The 2 surahs you ever know, Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar, and Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Yalla, khalas, get out. What will you do when you have the salah of khushu' and you open that up, you open your ruh up, you want to memorize more parts of the Quran so that you can read that in front of Allah. That's what the Sahaba did. And you recite those. You're in the fields of the Quran, going from one thing Allah said to another thing Allah said, and you want to read this to Allah. Read this. Just as the Imam, he just prayed right now in Salah. إِنَّ الْمُتَّقِينَ فِي ظِلَالٍ وَعُيُونٍ. Those who had a consciousness in the dunya, they were fearful of Allah, they stayed away from sins. Allah said they will be in shades, and many different springs of water and springs of rivers in Jannah. ظِلَالٍ وعيون وفواكه مما يشتهون. Surrounded by fruits of their choice, of what they want, which one they want to eat. كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما كنتم تعملون. Eat, Allah says. Drink, Allah says. Freely, without any restrictions in Jannah. Eat what you like, nothing haram in Jannah. Eat what you like, drink what you like. بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Because of the actions that you did in the world when you were in the world. إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. And we, Allah says, we treat those who do good in this way. Now subhanAllah, you read this description of Jannah. You read the description even of Jahannam. It moves you. And you want to stand in salah in front of Allah, do sujood in front of Allah, do ruku in front of Allah, because the only rescuer you have is Allah for the dunya and for the akhirah. You're in another world, my friend. You don't need all these games, but the only way you can revive the inside is to open that door. You need to spend time. You spend thousands of hours, my friend. My little friend, you spend thousands of hours mastering your joystick, your controller. You now have spent thousands of hours. You're so good at FIFA. You're so good at these games. You spend thousands of hours, hundreds of hours with the Quran, with the salah, try and make it a passion, make it a mission to get to recognize Allah. You spend that time with Him. You're in another world. Game over. You don't need all of this. And once you revive that soul, that ruh, that qalb, now the youth will come to the masjid. I'm going to ask you guys, the way to bring our youth and make them alive is talk more and more about what is above the heavens and underneath the ground. That's how you're going to revive them. Above the heavens and underneath the ground. Talk about the ghaib. Talk about Allah. Talk about the unseen. Talk about the angels. Talk about the world above. Talk about Jannah. Talk about Jahannam. Talk about Illiyin, where all the good souls will be. Talk about Sijjeen, where all the evil souls are going to be. Talk about the Adhabul Qabr, the punishment of the grave. Talk about the delights of the grave. Talk about the Qabr and the grave becoming a portion of Jannah. Talk about the Day of Judgment. Talk about the Sirat, the bridge over hellfire. Talk about Jannah itself. Talk about the details of the fire. What's going to be in Jahannam. Then again, talk about Firdaus. Talk about the Mizan, the scales on the Day of Judgment. Talk about how hasanat, good deeds and bad deeds are going to be weighed. Talk about how the parents, how the brothers and sisters are going to be running away from them on the Day of Judgment. Talk about the book, whether we receive it in the right hand or the left hand. Talk about the ruh and the soul, how the angel will take it at the time of death. Talk about death itself. Talk about beyond death. Talk about before we came on this earth. Talk about after we were going to leave this earth. Talk about what's above the heaven and what's below the ground. The more and more you talk, you then revive the qalb and the soul. And that's where you're going to get the kids. And that's what we need to do more and more, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did exactly the same thing with the Sahaba. Most of the ayats that came in the beginning of the period of Makkah, they talk about this. They talk about what's above the heaven and what's beneath the ground. They could talk about Yawm al-Akhir, Qiyamah, As-Sa'a, the last hour. What's going to happen at the last hour? What events are going to take place? How Allah is going to judge people? Hisab, judgment on the Day of Judgment. Allah talks about that. He talks about the Anbiya. He talks about those who were dead before, who led a wonderful life. You carry on talking about that, carry on talking about that. You now make another part of you inside alive. That's how we're going to bring the youth to the masjid. You talk about to these kids, and I'm telling you, look, guys, please don't do injustice to these kids. If you keep talking about Jannah, 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 they're going to say, MashaAllah, Dad, Pops, don't worry, Jannah's mine. Talk about Jannah, 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 the forgiveness of Allah. Allah is so Kareem, Allah is so Rahim, Allah is going to be so merciful. You talk about the lenient side, don't worry, Dad, I don't my tawbah, astaghfirullah. The Hura'in is waiting for me. Now you do the opposite, you make a problem. Jahannam, 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 Nar, Adhab, Qabr. Just that on its own, you make a big problem. You create fear inside them. They want to run away from it. Ya Allah, what is that? Is that it? Oh, I'm going to get punished. I'm going to beat it up because I just didn't pray. Oh my God. I might as well leave Islam right now. You create another problem. what you're supposed to do. Do the sunnah. Sunnah is you talk about Jannah, you talk about Jahannam. You talk about Jannah again, you talk about Jahannam again. You talk about the mercy of Allah, you talk about the wrath of Allah. You talk about the closeness of Allah, you talk about what happens when you move away from Allah. You keep a balance. That's how we get our kids. Don't do one over the other. There are certain Muslim communities that have done one and not the other. Either they did Jannah, 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 or they did Jahannam, 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 and the kids basically either became so lenient, they said, Yallah, no problem. Akhi, astaghfirullah, Jannah li. I say astaghfirullah, but Jannah is mine. Arham ar-Rahimeen, Ghaffar. Allah is going to forgive me. And there's another extreme side, which is, I've heard this with my own ears. May Allah forgive us. The guy actually said, he said, I know I'm going to burn in hellfire. So I might as well get on doing what I'm going to do anyway. I've heard this with my own ears. I know I'm going to burn in hellfire. He's had so much of Jahannam. You're going to burn, bro. He's like, okay, I'm going to burn. I might as well enjoy a little bit before I burn. Guys, obviously he's made a wrong assumption, but it's come as a result of you threatening him again and again with Jahannam. We've got to get a balance. And then when you talk again and again to the kids, I'm going to tell you one thing to do if you want to really revive your children. Have ta'aleem in the house every single day, my friend, 5-10 minutes, not more than 10 minutes ever. Ta'aleem, what is that? You bring your children together, bring your wife together. 5 minutes minimum, 10 minutes maximum. Never go over 10 minutes, don't do over 5 minutes. Pick up Riyadus Salihin. Pick up a book like Riyadus Salihin. Imam Nawawi's Riyadus Salihin, collection of a hadith. You sit there, read a hadith. Get the children to read the hadith. You can find English translations, okay? Read the English translation, read the commentary underneath there. 5 minutes, 10 minutes every single day. You'll see what will happen to your house. Your own children will start investigating about Islam. When they believe, I've got a qabr, I've got a grave, I'm going to be on my own, no mum, no dad, I've got to take my own a'mal, my own actions there, then they will inquire, what do I need to do, dad, to have a good life in the akhirah? What should, dad, is it okay for me to do this, 2 rakats like this? They will be asking you. They'll be doing it themselves. They'll be doing the qada of the salah that they missed. They will be doing themselves because now the belief is there. If the belief is not there, they're not going to do it. Every single household needs to have ta'aleem. Without that, I'm telling you guys, we've lost the next generation. They're not coming to these masjids. You can keep them together when they're young. Look, what happens is, look, it's quite funny. Parents get too excited at the wrong time. Let me tell you what happens. You know your child, yeah? You know your little 4-year-old, your little 5-year-old, yeah? You're praying salah, your little 5-year-old comes, like a little quack, 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 quack next to you. They're so cute. Say mashallah. Guys, don't be so stingy. Say mashallah. Say barakallahu fihim. They come with the cute little cheek and the cute face. Quack, 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 quack next to daddy. Allahu Akbar. And you get such, mashallah, my son is praying salah at 4 years old. He is the next Ertugrul. You're fooling yourself, bro. Your kid is only following you. You sit there with ganja. You sit there with weed. Your kid will sit there with weed as well. If you did that in front of your kid, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, your kid's only copying you. They get so excited. Mashallah, he put a hat on his head. Mashallah, my daughter put a hijab on her head. And she's so cute. She's so cute. Mashallah. By the time they get to 7, 8, they're still doing it. You can tell them, hey, let's go to the masjid. They come to the masjid. Because they just see you as a giant figure. My dad is so big. MashaAllah. I better listen to him because I'm going to get smacky, like, you know. After 7 more years, when he's 14, he's looking at his dad like that. Pops, you okay, Pops? Yeah. That's when it matters if you praise or not. It doesn't matter when he's 4 years old. Don't get excited at the wrong time. If you want your child to pray, you better be on their case when the Iman said above the heavens and below the earth. Speak about that every day if you can. Ta'aleem in the house every day. When he's 5, when he's 6, when he's 7, when he's 8, when he's 9, when he's 10. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Look, we made a whole set of books, the several publications books. If you can get a hold of them, we've actually put all these things inside there. What these kids need to know, age by age, level by level. Anyway, you do that when he's 10. Now what happens is now He's doing it when he's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and he's doing the salah. He's having all these beliefs, that system inside him. You know what? Now when he's 12, when he's 13, when he's 14, he wants to pray. He will pray. He wants to do this because the belief is strong inside him. That's why, my friend. Because most of us get excited when they're young, when they're 12, 13, 14, by that age, you know what? Now you come to the imam. Now you look at him like he's got a swag when he's walking. Got a swag. And you come to Imam, please pray for my child. Allahumma hadi, Allahumma hadi, Allah. Yes, fine, you make dua, I know. Where did you go wrong? You went wrong because you know the days when he was 9, 10, 11, 12, you let go. You allowed him to be who he wanted to. You said, inshallah, he's going to carry on praying. Oh, my kid prayed at 4, he's going to pray at 24 as well. Nah, bro. Doesn't happen like that. You got to do your tarbiyah every single stage. Every year, every month, every week, you've got to be on the back when they're at that age. Then when they're 12, 13, 14, then they'll start praying. But game is not over yet. You have to do the tarbiyah at 12 or 13, 14. Why? Because the hormones kick in. When the hormones kick in, suddenly they want to burst out. They want to become a man. They want to become a woman. They don't want authority. They don't want you to tell them what to do. It's natural in every human being. At that time, you need to then do what Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said. Because you've got to ease off the gas. You know what I'm saying? Ease off the gas. You know what I'm trying to talk about? Yes or no, guys? No, you don't know what I'm talking about. Because I haven't explained to you what ease off the gas is. Okay, so don't try and pretend you know what I'm talking about. You know ease off the gas is? Let me explain to you. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu said, he said, be with your kids from 0 to 7. He said, be with like a father. Just a father. Then he said, from 7 to 14, he said, be a father and a bit friendly as well. Father, and sometimes a friend, but father. Father and a bit of a friend. Then he said, from 14 onwards, like to 21, be a friend and a father. And let me ask you again, look. 0 to 7, father. Okay, you tell him, tarbiyah, okay, fine. When he gets to 7 to 14, you're a father, and now you slowly become a little bit of a friend, but not fully friend. You're mainly your father. When he gets to 14, you switch. Then you become the friend and the father. The father has become secondary. The friend becomes the more dominant thing. This is where you let go of the gas. You don't put that kind of pressure you put on the child when they're 14, 15, the way you put it at 7 and 8. You're making a big mistake. Because the child's going to rebel. So you've got to learn how to put the gas off. The gas comes on when they're younger. You keep the full gas on when they're younger. And as they're getting older, you take the gas off. And that's how you do the tarbiyah of children. If you get it right, alhamdulillah, they'll listen to you, they'll obey you, they'll love you, they'll pray, they'll do everything because you've got all those ingredients in there. But if you become a father whose main occupation is the shisha place. You have shisha places here or not? A few, yeah? Not too many? Yeah? Yalla, yalla, shisha, shisha. You don't have that? Or basically your main thing is the qahwa. Cafe. Your main thing is restaurant. Your main thing is outside. Your main thing is friend. Your kids are in their house and you're not there as a father to do the tarbiyah. You're not there to be the father. You know what happens? You let go of the gas when they're young. You got huge problems when they start getting to teenage. And that's the thing that we've got to look at. Now, I'm telling you, final thing is, if we want our children to come and to be good Muslims and look after these masjids, we as parents have to put and I say parents, I didn't say the next man. Don't look at the next one. Every one of us is a parent, or every one of us is an uncle, every one of us is an aunt from the sister's side. Every one of us is something, a mother, an aunt or something. Look after your own flock. Forget about the next man's kid. Forget about the next person's child. Look at my own children. Do the best for my children. Once I've saved them, then save others as well. But my primary thing is my children, my house. If I can get it right, I've got that generation right. And now inshallah they'll come to the masjid. But we still have to be concerned about my grandchildren. Will my children do the same thing with their children? It's a big concern. We're in Australia. We're in another side of the world. We don't have Islam buzzing around us like you have in Lebanon. You don't have in Afghanistan. You don't have in Pakistan. You have a country where unless you come to the masjid, you don't hear the adhan. Unless you make your effort to go to the madrasa, you get no talim, no talim of Islam. You don't get it. So we have to create that environment, and we have to be careful, because if our kids and our grandchildren are not going to have Islam, it's time to do hijrah, my friend. Every person has to ask that question to themselves. Are you confident enough that your children and grandchildren are going to be on the deen, are going to be on Islam, are going to come to the masajid, are going to die as believers? Die as believers. If that is the case, you're confident, alhamdulillah, stay here, work here, make your future here. But if you are not confident, and you think your children are going to leave Islam and go to kufr, or your grandchildren are going to leave Islam and never come to the masjid again, be someone else, then my friend, it's probably better to do hijrah right now, go to another country and settle there. It's your choice. Every man should ask himself that question. We're only in these countries for pesa, fulus. You understand? Fulus, pesa. The only reason why you're in Melbourne right now, my friends, with all this weather on top of you, yeah? You know what I'm saying? You left all your beautiful sun-shining countries and you came here and you're stuck in Melbourne, you're working with all that weather. The only reason why is fulus, pesa. You know? But fulus, pesa is not going to do anything for my children, my grandchildren, if I make a mistake. And I prioritize my dunya and my children are going astray in my own house. So make sure you get your priorities right. And if they're on the deen, they're going to stay on the deen, stay in this country and work and do the best for your children and for your akhirah and earn the money. Alhamdulillah, no problem. But if not, you got to make your own choice. Jazakumullah khair. Now I'm going to open to Q&A. You can put your hand up and you're going to ask your questions.